Alteori. I like Alteori. She's got fucking wonderful content. Go check her out. The comments are probably crazy in this bitch. Let's go.
Will you continue down that river? Or choose another path beyond what we see?
Then we must look for it together.
Changes, baby. Need to adapt to the changes. Shout out to Alteori. Let's go.
Assassin's Creed has been trending, and upon seeing the trailer, we can understand why. Now I'm going to talk about a few things here and try to be as fair as possible. First things first, the main character is based on someone who apparently did exist called Yasuke. Secondly, yes, he was of Afro origin based on what we've read. Thirdly, there's some understandable outrage, and it's not particularly because people are racist against black people. Maybe there is some of that, but I don't think majority of people, that's what it is. People of every color, including black people, are upset with this for specific reasons, which I will point out later. There are also people who think that it really isn't that big of a deal because the man was a historical figure in Japan. I hope you don't mind some gameplay in the background because this is going to be a really lengthy video, and to be honest, I want to give you guys something to look at in between the content, which is kind of mostly what I have to say. But anyway, lastly, before we begin, the only reason I'm even doing this video is because someone asked for my opinion of it. I didn't even know what was going on, and
What
because
game
I talk
is
about
he
pop
playing?
culture stuff
What game is that? Like, that shit looks crazy.
in the past with gaming and movies and stuff, and I guess it falls under here, and it's trending right now, so I guess being part of the discussion is par for the course. But anyway, it's honestly, when I heard it, it's not something that particularly makes me angry or annoyed, but at the same time, I can understand both perspectives. When you look at what's happening in the video game industry, you can see why people would be outraged, but as a standalone event, it doesn't seem like a big deal until you look at the bigger picture. Anyway, let's start with Assassin's Creed. I've only played small sections of an Assassin's Creed game, and I don't even remember which one it was. One of my exes was playing it, and he let me fiddle around with the controls, just idly with the character while he was on the phone, and that was it for me. That's the extent of that. I love watching gameplay of it, and I think the first time I saw it is when I learned the word parkour.
Parkour! Oh my god. I gotta mute this. That is the moment to parkour. Parkour!
Anyway, the point of the Assassin's Creed games seems to operate as historical fiction. The games are set in meticulously recreated historical settings and periods, and these can range from the Crusades to Renaissance Italy, Revolutionary America, ancient Egypt, and more. While the settings and major historical events and some of the characters are based on real history, the main plot and many of the characters, from my understanding, are fictional. So when it comes to people arguing about Yasuke, it's worth noting that despite more people believing he actually existed, there's still a lot of uncertainty. We don't know his birth name. We don't know when he was born. We don't know where he was born. There's actually more unknown about him than is known, making his...
But we do know there's enough information. What I dislike about a lot of this, that there already is known information about him. Now, whatever the Japanese decided not to document, they were just like, well, we're just not going to document any of his shit or any of the shit that's out there. But there's got to be something. You can't just sit here and tell me, oh, well, we didn't document shit. Oh, well, we didn't, you know what I'm saying? And they're not going to keep track of a black man roaming Japan or going to a missionary church? Come on, ladies. Come on, people.
Existence almost as debatable as Jesus is. Nobody really knows for sure. And while there are claims of pictures and such, we can't even be certain those depict him. Proving the reality of certain historical and mythological figures is kind of hard without hard evidence. It's not like we can dig up a tomb and find his body, his DNA. It's not as though people from everywhere took pictures or drew pictures of him. It's based on hearsay. So we're left with the possibility that he might...
Plus, at a certain time, when you were buried, your grave would be like what? There were barely headstones at that time. At this point, you could dig up all of Japan just to find Yasuke, and you wouldn't even know. what grave you're picking up. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if do the Japanese bury or do they like cremate? Because that's a little different.
Might have existed, but he also might not have. What we do know could have been embellished, just like stories of many historical figures who weren't as prominent. Now, in the Britannica, and I'm going to read some of what's here, and the other reason people are wary about stuff like this is because every time there is a new game or some kind of trendy topic where now you have a situation like this with Yasuke in a game, they're trying to sell it, they will go back in articles, like what happened with the Warhammer situation, and they will make changes. So you can see that the article here was last updated May 18th, 2024, and if you go over to references and edit history, you will see that the first paragraph, there was a modernization of the first paragraph, and that was on May 10th, 2024, right when this thing was being released. So you have to take some of this with a grain of salt, I guess.
So it was edited, or it could have been edited, or a paragraph was updated at some point. Be aware.
But you don't just look at the one article, there's different things. But funny enough, when I was looking up Yasuke, it was so hard pressed to find older historical context. All of them had been recently published, or they were recently updated with so-called new information.
Which is kind of different here. How would these things be updated with new information if it doesn't make sense? But all right.
Which I understand people would look at that and be a little bit skeptical as to whether or not the information there is not some kind of revisionist history and if it's actually what was there before. Anyway, still, we're gonna read what it says. Much about Yasuke is unknown. His birth name is unknown. The date of his birth is unknown, though many estimates point to the 1550s. While he is known to have been from Africa, the exact location of his birth is unknown. Historians speculate that he may have been born in what is today Ethiopia, Mozambique, or South Sudan, citing evidence connected to his name, his physical appearance, and described by his contemporaries, trade relationships among Japan, Europe, and Africa, and other factors. It is unknown whether Yasuke was enslaved and transported from Africa. It is possible, according to some historians, that he may have left Africa as a mercenary. What is known definitively is that Yasuke arrived in Japan in 1579 with an Italian Jesuit missionary, Alessandro Valignano, possibly as Valignano's bodyguard. It's not known, however, whether Yasuke was enslaved or free at the time. So that's what we got so far. Then, 1581, they continue by saying, Valignano and Yasuke travel Kyoto, where they met Oda Nobunaga, a powerful daimyo, or feudal lord, who was seeking to unify a Japan divided by several warlords. According to a contemporary account, Nobunaga was stunned by Yasuke.
I'm listening right now because this is something she's reading that is part of the Japanese history, right? And I'm a history buff. I love history. Well, not a buff. I'm a history connoisseur. I love history. You give me some good energy, some good information about some good history, I'm going to be on top of it to like talk about it, to want to be about it, because history is important. And don't let nobody tell you it's not important. It's important to know your history, because if you don't, you're going to be called stupid. And you're going to be called stupid, you're going to be called stupid. I'm just saying. They want to be called stupid. You know what I'm saying? Also, try to remove the word stupid from your vocabulary. It's super hard.
His appearance, by both his height and his skin color. Recorded in the diary of the samurai Matsudaira. Goddamn, I don't know why I'm tripping up on that word. Ietada, Yasuke's height was 6 shaku 2 sun, so 6 feet and 2 inches. He was black and his skin was like charcoal. Yasuke would have towered over the average Japanese person of that era. The majority of Japanese people, including Nobunaga, had never seen a black man. Upon meeting Nobunaga, Yasuke was reportedly stripped and scrubbed.
Yeah.
As Nobunaga believed that his skin was dirty. Look, I can't even blame him, because there are even countries now in Africa where, and they did documentations of this from YouTubers, and they go there and the little girl or the children who have never seen a white man before see this white thing with blue eyes that looks like nobody else has ever seen walking towards it, and she's screaming bloody murder, completely terrified, thinking it's a ghost, because nobody else she's ever grown up with looks like that. Like, the most that you'd probably...
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine if all the countries around the world, including the U.S., before like the United States never existed, if what's his name? The fuck is his name? Columbus never came over here, right? So the Native Americans would have run this land completely if Columbus never just decided to branch out. And everybody you know now wouldn't exist without some mixed blood or mixed breeding or something happening. Not gonna lie to you. Just imagine if Columbus just didn't go this way and misdirected. Like, yo, imagine never seeing a black person, a white person. Imagine just never seeing somebody. Shit is crazy. Let's continue.
We think is, oh, that's what someone looks like when all their skin is scraped off. Because when you scrape off your skin, no matter what color you are, if you have a scrape, before the blood comes out, you see your dermis, which is white underneath. So I understand from his point of view, it's just ignorance. It's like, I don't know. I've never seen something like this before, so he must be dirty. Yasuke immediately gained Nobunaga's favor. Historians assume that Yasuke knew Japanese well enough to have conversations with Nobunaga, and they believe also that he quickly proved to Nobunaga his skills as a soldier. Soon after their first meeting, Nobunaga granted Yasuke his Japanese name, accepted him into his service, and made him the first recorded foreigner to receive the title of samurai. Yasuke was also one of the few people who dined with Nobunaga, which demonstrated the closeness of their relationship. As a samurai...
Okay, so that has to be somehow true. It can't be false that he knew... Nobunaga wanted to talk to him. He talked to him, had conversations with him, all of that shit. So you're telling me none of this is true? Or like, do people not know this is true? Is this not information that is readily available at all? Because, nigga, how? Like, it to me, it doesn't make sense. To me, personally. But I do understand this type of information that a lot of people want to know. I'm texting my mom, so.
Yasuke would have fought in several battles for Nobunaga, though the exact number is unknown. His service to Nobunaga was, however, short. Yasuke was present at Hono Temple in Kyoto in 1582, only about a year after they met. When Nobunaga was betrayed by his general Akechi Mitsuhide, with defeat a foregone conclusion, Nobunaga committed seppuku, a form of ritual suicide, in order to control his own death and protect his honor.
He did. A lot of that is, you ain't gonna kill me, nigga. I'ma kill me. But also, it's seen as, for them, it's seen as controlling my death and not letting someone take my life. But to me, it just seems like very cowardless at some point. But hey, that's me. But before someone could kill him, he took his own life. So he basically had the power.
It's possible that Yasuke served as Nobunaga's Kaishakunin, a designated second in the ritual who beheads the main dying by seppuku. Something that, if you're not familiar with, if you've watched Shogun, you can see that being done there, which is really interesting. Immediately after Nobunaga's death, Yasuke joined Oda Nobutada, Nobunaga's son. I guess they don't have the same... Oh, well, one's Oda. Okay, Oda is the last name. Okay, but Nobutada was also defeated by Mitsuhide and committed seppuku, also known as harakiri, in the same day as his father. Defeated, Yasuke was then escorted by Mitsuhide's men to a Jesuit mission house. Nothing is known of Yasuke after this incident.
Rewind that.
As his father, defeated, Yasuke was then escorted by Mitsuhide's men to a Jesuit mission house.
A Jesuit mission house. What happened after that?
Nothing is known of Yasuke after.
That is the biggest fucking cop-out. It's like, historically, that he was there, and it's gone. And fuck this motherfucker. This is what, we put him to a mission house. After that, fuck him. Huh? That's it? No more black samurai? Okay. Whatever.
This incident. So that's all we got. And it's a very interesting story. I can understand why a lot of people want to... It almost sounds like Shogun, but from a samurai's perspective. And I would love to watch a movie on that, to be honest. What's clear is that Yasuke is an odd duckling. He's a black samurai, and his story has been told throughout media. He's a popular figure in some circles because he stands out. So whenever you're in a world and considered exotic, there are going to be stories about you. It's interesting to tell stories about someone really unique. So I won't criticize people too much, since as far as we know, Yasuke actually existed. What bothers me more is the chick that they put with him. It's annoying because they can't just let the man have his own story. They have to add a woman who is just as badass, walking alongside him in a time when I don't believe women would have had the freedom to do so. But anyway.
I do believe that part too, yeah. Because the Japanese are also dicks.
Here's the deal. Gamers aren't necessarily against diversity or having a black samurai in their game. At least I don't think so. It's the way it's being done that's causing the eye rolling. The feeling is that there's this overarching directive to cram diversity in, even when it doesn't quite fit the context. It's like the game devs are saying, look at us, we're so progressive, instead of focusing on creating compelling, authentic stories. So imagine playing a game set in ancient Japan, and it suddenly feels more like a modern-day college brochure showing how inclusive it is. It breaks the immersion for a lot of people. I'm not just specifically talking about the Assassin's Creed, about many of the modern-day games. People want historical accuracy in games like Assassin's Creed, which prides itself on detailed historical settings.
True.
So it's not about rejecting diversity.
I do think it does try to hit the historical setting. He was there. That's something that they're not denying. Like, you'll look, he was here. Now, a lot of people are like, well, was he a samurai? Was he not a samurai? But at the same time, nigga, what does it matter if he wasn't or was? That seems to be people's gripe with it. Oh, he wasn't a samurai. Well, he is now.
It's about the execution. And if you're
The game she's playing just seems kind of fun. I think this is a mobile game.
gonna bring in an actual figure like Yasuke, do it justice. Make it feel organic. Not just like it's been slapped on with a big neon sign saying diversity. Look, see, black dude, see what we did here? People don't like feeling pandered to. No matter what color they are, they don't like feeling pandered to. And people are upset because it feels like that's what's happening here, especially giving Ubisoft's background. So yes, while Yasuke's story could be an incredible addition to the game, and he's based on someone who could have most likely existed, I think it's the forced diversity approach overall that's what's rubbing people the wrong way. A lot of the argument is, instead of featuring one of the countless ethnically Japanese heroes from feudal Japan, they decided to make Yasuke the dark-skinned guy who basically nothing is known about, the main character. Yasuke, for everything that we know, the consensus people believe, he did exist, and his story is fascinating. But in a lot of people's eyes, or based on the arguments I'm seeing, there were so many other legendary Japanese figures they could have chosen from in Japan. Many people have an issue with this because they claim that this isn't the first time Ubisoft has done this. It seems like every game they release now has to check a diversity box, even if it doesn't make...
I do feel like them checking a diversity box, or even trying to, is them feeling that, hey, you know, we just want to separate ourselves, but come on, like, think about it, guys.
Historical sense. So when they set a game in feudal Japan, people expected it to reflect that era accurately, and even though it would have reflected it accurately if Yasuke existed back then, they were like, you chose the one black dude out of the entirety of Japan to tell a story about instead of all the other Japanese heroes, and I think that's why...
I look at that as different. It's weird that I see it through different perspective. Like, hey, how many viewpoints of Japanese people are we going to get that's almost the same? His viewpoint as an outsider and a foreigner, because they've done plenty of games and movies. They've done different movies with outsiders from Japan, learning their culture, learning their style, all that shit. Even that fucking Marco Polo TV show of him learning martial arts. Like, come on, bro. I believe the diversity part, people feel like that's just thrown in there. I do like the fact that he is a part of this, but there seems to be more of a, well, you're just kind of a dickhead, but
a lot of people are saying it feels forced and like they're being pandered to. Imagine if they set the next Assassin's Creed in an African country with a predominantly dark-skinned population. Would they make the main character Asian or Japanese or white just to mix things up? Probably not. And I think the inconsistency is what's driving people nuts. They want authenticity, not tokenism. And it's like Ubisoft is saying, look how diverse we are. Like, Even in every other culture, including people with dark skin culture, there always has to be a dark skin main character, while ignoring the rich tapestry of characters that already exist within the setting. So yeah, fans are upset because to them it feels like a gimmick rather than a genuine attempt to tell an authentic story.
I still think there's a story there. Like, a lot of everybody's out here like, there's not a story here. There could be a story. Probably. You know, I thought with the female assassin, it could be a story. I think we're looking at this through closed eyes and closed minds. I do think Assassin's Creed Shadows could have a good story. It depends on how much are they going to go forward with this fucking Yosuke character. Because he's just the brute. He's just I'm the brute nigga with the weapons. And I'm like, okay, I'm really mad because that's all you are. You're not the assassin. The girl is the assassin. And even then, it's kind of like, okay, but then if she's not able to kill the same way, like, she's a ninja. A ninja's going to get you. A ninja's going to get you, period. But she's not the person that people are caring about. They're like, yeah, Japanese chick, ninja, we don't care. But this black guy, like, come on, man. I think they got a story. I think.
If Ubisoft wants to showcase diversity, there's nothing wrong with that, but they should do it in a way that respects the history and culture of the setting that they're portraying, and that's what the argument is right now. It's especially telling, though, when gaming companies shoehorn in darker-skinned characters or non-white characters into settings at the expense of other minorities, like Japanese people in a story about feudal Japan. If they have consultants pushing for main characters to be women or non-white, and in this case, non-Asian, in an Asian setting, obviously it's going to rub people the wrong way. And the issue with gamers, whether black, white, or Asian, is that the move seems more about the diversity box thing and the DEI thing, rather than, hey, we just wanted to tell this really cool story. It feels false to them, and it sends a message.
Which kind of stops people from at least trying to play it. Like, if there was a demo, and I played the demo, I would like the demo. But if there ain't a demo, like, I love video games having demos. All games should go back to having a demo. I don't care. Because if I can't play it, I really don't care.
That these companies are willing to compromise authenticity for the sake of appearing as though they're progressive. While diversity and representation are important, they should be handled thoughtfully, not as this superficial add-on, which is what, to many people, Yasuke's story feels like, in light of everything that has happened since Sweet Baby Inc. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about in regards to Sweet Baby Inc., then I have a video on that you can watch as well. If you also don't understand why this is so annoying to some people in terms of history, I did a video on Shogun and the issue someone had with the lack of black people in it. The media drumming up people is also another issue that people have. It's a whole thing. It's not just one thing. People are looking at this one thing and saying, look at all these people being racist. All the black people are racist too. Maybe listen to what they're saying. People are upset because they know very well that, again, if the situation were reversed and a game set in an African country with a rich history and predominantly dark-skinned population featured a main character who was Asian or white, it would feel just as off. Even if that Asian character did exist in Africa. And it's not just that it would feel off. Imagine every single game, movie, or show, despite the historical context, shoehorned a Chinese or Japanese person in there. You're telling a story about ancient Nigeria, right? Or Rwanda or whatever. And you choose some mostly unknown Chinese man who just happened to exist back then to tell a story set in ancient Nigeria or Ethiopia. But you're doing that in every single piece of media, while also making the Chinese man or Chinese people look better than the dark-skinned people. After a while, people start to get very annoyed and offended, even when no offense was intended. And I think they actually did that in America. Like, there was a time when, for whatever reason, and well, we say for whatever reason, but we know why, whenever there were black people in white movies, they were servants, slaves, or...
Yeah, because it's kind of part of the American history, right? Black people were servants or slaves, but there are black people who fought, and there are black people who did something like Harriet Tubman freed the slaves. And everybody was like, Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves. Harriet Tubman brought all the slaves to freedom. There was lands of freedom. And a lot of people don't realize that's part of history. But then there's other parts of history that are the negative, right? Looney Tunes, stuff that's not supposed to be there, but it is there. It's part of our history. We embrace it, unlike other people who don't embrace their history.
or they were made to look dumb. Even when they were doing blackface back then, they made them look dumb. And for the modernish type of movies, the black men were never shown to be strong with their own families, except for like the Fresh Prince. I'm not talking about that era. I'm talking about way before that. They always made them look, or not always, but a lot of the portrayals that they did
made them look dumb.
Black men look stupid or violent or whatever, and they did the same thing with Native Americans. There was this whole thing back then, but they did fix that as time went on, right? So it's not right just because you do it all the way on the other end of the spectrum. It's not right either way. I think it's disgusting. I think that media doesn't do justice for the black community, and you'd be hard pressed now to find stories of strong black men and strong Asian men for that matter. They always make Asian men look super feminine and they kill them off like super quickly. It's very annoying. It's like, dude, come on. Fans want stories that respect and reflect the settings they're based on. And when companies ignore this in favor of this forced diversity while also insulting the people they're trying to reflect positively or saying that they are, it does
game is this, Soul Leveling?
Patronizing, and people can recognize that, especially when you're always doing.
Hey, she got a point. A black dude in a movie be the first nigga to die. Asian dude second. The super duper dumb jock. The fucking white girl that's super not sexy. Some people the first ones to die in movies. There's a lot of, hiccups. Fucked up shit, but it's true.
So gamers aren't against diversity. I'm not saying there's no people at all that don't feel that way. Yes, I'm aware there are legit
50-50.
racists out there, and they're dumbasses. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the most normal, level-headed people. They're not against diversity. They're against inauthenticity and exclusion. They want characters that make sense within the story and setting by sidelining the actual historical cultural context of settings like feudal Japan, for example. These companies end up alienating the very audience they're trying to appeal to. And it's not about being against representation, but about wanting that representation to be meaningful and respectful. Had the DEI thing not been so prevalent in every other game, this story with Yasuke would have been well received. But because they're forcing in everything, now people are trigger happy and be like, oh my god, black person DEI! And it's like, maybe it's not even that. But now because you've done that to death, now they're forced to look at everything as that. Now they're freaking, even the actual black people are having a problem with this, when it probably isn't even that. Now, that's all the drama behind this. Now, what do I think? Honestly, I don't care much in this specific case because, I mean, I've only recently heard of Yasuke. It would be interesting to see his story. However, it does feel very inauthentic because it seems like the only reason they're even doing this is to shoehorn non-white characters into everything at the expense of everyone else.
Validate has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted.
It sounds like a white woman is talking right now. See, that's the dumbest shit ever. We have no white people on our team, but you know you're a white woman, right? Or you sound like a white woman? Fuck out of here.
To create a safe environment. And I know the best way for the environment to be safe is...
Right? Black girl. Sound like a white person. I'm playing. I sound like a white person. But what sucks is the fact that you have no white people on your team. Why do you say that? Why do you go far to say this? And it just sounds very segregation. Like, that's what segregation was fought against. Segregation was fought against to separate, nigga. Like, relax.
Is to be around people who are just like me.
I know some people who agree with that. Yeah.
Shit.
In this case, it feels especially disrespectful because of the setting and the fact that they're doing this with everything. They will do this with everything but won't put in the money and the writing and the passion to make games set in African countries featuring their warriors and nobility. Why do we get a one-off with an African descent character who rose to a position of power possibly after being enslaved? Why don't we get a rich story set in Africa or an African country about the warriors or nobility there? Let's make some games from people from the Amazons. Like, there's so many other things we could do. I don't think this means that.
But Alteori, that allows them to have to be creative, nigga. That allows them to have to be fucking creative. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Yasuke is not a creative character to focus on. They've already focused on him in tons of media. I do believe it's how you focus on a character, how you challenge something, how you get somebody to notice something, how do you drag or bring that back moving forward. And being creative with the story. Look, I don't mind talking about the character or being on point with the character. I just didn't want him to be in the game because once I saw him, I said, here comes the bullshit. But then if he was the enemy, I'd be like, shit, I'm gonna have to kill a black nigga. It's crazy.
That stories about characters from different ethnicities can't be told in other countries, as I've said. But when the game developers are constantly expected by these consultant firms to make their main characters look anything other than white, specifically straight white men, or in this case Japanese, I guess, it does turn people off and is also insulting to dark-skinned people. And I don't know why America has this anti-boner for Japan now. It's very weird. But black people don't want that. You know what it's giving? It's like when I used to sit in front of class and I was already an outcast and people, made fun of me and stuff and picked on me. And
been there, girl.
I would raise my hand because I loved learning. Like, I legitimately loved school. And it was a way for me to escape from my home life, too. But I loved school. So I'd raise my hand and, shut the fuck up, Allie. And I'm like, bro, just whatever. So I'd stop talking. And then my freaking teacher, because I was an honor student, I was the highest, graded student. I had the highest grades in the class. She would always come around and hug me and say, see, Allie's always prepared. See, Allie does this. Look, Allie's the only one who passed this test and all of you failed. You see, I'm like, oh my God. And I could feel them burning their freaking souls into my backbone. And that made the bullying.
See, that's teachers. Teachers do shit that parents should never do. Don't ever look at someone as the favorite, as the good kid, because you're making everybody else feel bad just because you're doing well. It happens. That's never happened with me. I think I've been on point for most of my classes. I was never a straight A student, but I got some A's. I got some B's and I got some C's, never a D, but I made it B's, sometimes A's, and sometimes a C. I was on point, but I was never a failure. I was never a dumbass. But I think I was also in classes that my teachers never said, how can you be like this person? I was like, I'm not them, I'm me. Move on. You know what I'm saying? That is something to remember. And something that parents should teach their kids. Hey, if your teacher ever tries to boost you up and put everybody else down, try to correct that. You know what I'm saying? And teachers should correct that thinking. It's like, don't lift this person up and make everybody feel lower and feel shit because you're basically saying you're all dumb. That's what you're basically saying without saying it, but you're pointing the finger and saying you did something bad, you're fucked up, look at this person. That's basically what they're saying.
Worse. Because now in your attempt to try and make me feel better or show them, you're putting a target on my back. So you're kind of doing that with the black community when people do this. They think they're doing something right, but you're actually turning people against each other. And that's what people are having an issue with. If you had started being like, you know what, we're going to make some games here too with some straight men characters who are strong, and we're going to make some with women who are main characters and are strong, some with white men who are main characters and are strong and are straight, some with black men who are straight and strong, and some with gay men who are strong and not running away from everything like they do in Doctor Who. Think about this for a second. And I know it sounds weird. You have the first black doctor. First of all, you didn't make him a full doctor. You made him half of a doctor, right? You broke him off from David Tennant, so it looks like he's half the man he is.
Yeah,
Secondly,
it was just weird.
You made him gay. And there's nothing wrong with being gay, but it's like black men, if you ever heard black men talk in their circle, masculinity is a very big thing with them. And I know this is going to come as a shock to some people, but...
She's not lying. She's not lying. Listen, I'm going to take off the headphones for a second because, I got a little dent in my hair here. But she's not lying. Being black is understanding that there are masculine traits. And some people are like, oh, not all black. Nigga, no. My uncles were men. My uncles were those niggas, right? And I've met niggas who were just like my uncles. Had their heads on straight. They were doing dumb shit at a person time, but then they had their heads on. But black men kept it real. And like you joke and no gay shit. In the 80s to the 90s, they weren't playing that shit. Simple as that. Oh yeah, but that's just, insecurities. Yeah, not to them. They were like, nah, don't do that to me, nigga, I ain't gay. Being masculine, being strong in the black community is something that is representative of who we are, because we used to be warriors. Unlike, some people who are the true savages. I don't want to go into that, but I'm just saying.
But there are a lot of the black community, specifically black men, who don't fuck with that. I'm not saying it's right, but if they're not gay, they want to be portrayed a certain way. That's part of their culture. Talk to the black men out there. I grew up with them. They will tell you. I'm not saying it's right for them to go and beat up gay people. I don't think anything is wrong with people being gay. You love who you love as long as it's consensual, you're adults. But black men, as they say, don't fuck with that shit. It just is what it is. So now you have the first black man doctor, and you make him gay.
She's fucking spitting.
And black men are like, okay, our masculinity has already been attacked.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
And the reason why, you have to also look at the background of things. Think about this. In America, with the history of slaves, black men were always seen as a threat. The black women weren't, because the white slave owners could fuck them. Imagine being a black man or an African man, and you have your wife or your wives or whatever, and the white man comes and fucks every single one of them, and you can't do shit. And if you do try to raise up and protect your family, your balls are cut off, or you're shot or killed.
Yo, Alteori is spitting the factamundos, bro. Like, stop playing.
You were beaten down in front of your family like a dog. And all your masculinity is what made you a man. Maybe you were a warrior where you came from, that is taken away from you and stripped. Not only that, now you're free, but not really, because there's segregation. And if you happen to see a pretty white woman, now pretty black woman, oh, white men can look at her, they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
But if a black man just happens to glance at a white woman who's pretty, you're looking at her, you fucking, and he dies.
Yep.
So everything that makes you masculine is seen as a threat to this new...
Yo, she's spitting. She's fucking spitting, nigga. It's a fact. It's weird that way, but it's also true enough that everything that has made black men very masculine, it's taken so long for a lot of people to see that, and it's like, oh, it's being taken away. It's like, nah, you grow up to be a man. And a lot of people think, oh, is masculinity really this, and this? It's a lot of, it's ins and outs, right? There are different I'll say there's moments and halves of being masculine and masculinity. There's not one way to be a man. There's tons of ways to be a man. But also, I've seen gay niggas who don't run from nothing. They'll fight you. They'll square up with you. They'll curse like fucking real men. And they'll say what they like. I've met some straight up gay niggas, but I've also met some niggas who are just like pansy ass fuck. It happens. She's not right here. She's not lying. She is not lying. She over here spitting the factamundos. Amazing. I love when a black man can hear another person say some shit.
New country that you've been enslaved in for many generations. And how you're portrayed in media, that's a threat. Can't have a strong black man, because that's scary. So understandably, with the American black community, when it comes to men, their masculinity is very important. And it makes it worse because, yes, there is a big thing with, especially in the impoverished areas, with white people too, but more so with black people, where their fathers are locked up because they go into a life of crime. These men grow up without a father. Now they have to overcompensate for not having someone to help rein in those emotions. So masculinity and black men is something that's a very touchy subject. And then you have situations like Doctor Who, where they bring in the first black doctor, and it's a gay man. Not only is it a gay man, you didn't even just make him a gay man, which shouldn't, okay, he's gay, whatever. That shouldn't matter.
You made him a gay man, but you separated him from the doctor, which doesn't make sense. Why not just have him be a why him not be more of a masculine gay man? Because there are masculine gay men out there who will beat the shit out of a regular nigga. And they'll probably even call you a bitch. But there are, like, be it a gay man, but with some masculine traits, strength, opposing, not moving, not running, not being scared. Because what you're creating is, I don't want to offend, what that makes is more feminine. What you're saying, well, black men are feminine and weak, and they'll run and hide from this, this, and this. Excuse me, bitch? Okay. That's what you think of us, which kind of sucks. And that's kind of what people see or feel from these things. And you can't tell another black man, oh, well, that's how you feel. That feeling is wrong, or those are your feelings. But that's our perception. What we see is our reality, nigga. That's what I'm seeing. You're trying to portray the reality of what's happening. And you're really not understanding, which really shows us what the fuck is really happening in our media. Like, for real.
We had Captain Jack Harkness, but you make him gay and a coward.
Oh, Ruby, there are vast powers beyond the universe. It ripped me in half.
But you survived.
It tore my soul in half. I can't survive that again.
So now you make it look like black people.
So he's a coward and he's scared. Listen. Don't let me be the voice of truth and reason. But some of y'all just bitches. Like, that's some bitch shit. Come on, bro. Get your fucking ass up. Get the fuck up, bro. Get the fuck up, bro.
And gay people are cowardly and are afraid and run away from everything. And it's like, bro, in your attempt to try and be progressive, you actually are setting people back because you're representing them disgustingly. Disgustingly. I'm not saying that there aren't cowardly gay people out there. I have some friends that will run and leave me in danger because they're scared and they just happen to be gay. But there's also
a friend of mine said this, sometimes as a black man, I gotta preserve my own life because my bloodline has kind of ended with us trying to be strong and trying to be hood, and it's bad. And I said, nigga, you probably just pussy, like, personally, but okay, sir, whatever, I guess.
Straight women that do that too, and some straight men that do that as well. But it's especially telling because there's already a stigma attached to gay people where they're like, oh my god, a bug, I don't want it on me. There's already that freaking stereotype. And I know a lot of gay men
that act like women.
That are hyper masculine. Not hyper, but like you would never know they're gay. Unless they tell you or they're like, hey, this is my boyfriend, this is my husband. You're like, oh shit, okay. They only have the flamboyant, super emotional, super giddy person as the only representation for gay people when there's so much more than that. So you can understand why people are a little bit like, really, bro? It gets annoying. And they do that with the same thing with black women.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying when you realize as a gay man, they've treated you like a bitch. I'm gonna be real with you and be real a lot of gay men out there. If you've ever been treated like a bitch, and society's treated you like a bitch, listen, I'm gonna be real with you, grow some muscle, do some cardio, learn some martial arts, don't be a bitch. Don't let them treat you like a bitch. Don't let them treat you like you not a man still. Cause I'm gonna be real with a lot of gay niggas. You can be gay, but you still a fucking man. That's society. You can be a black gay man, but nigga, you still a man. You're not a fucking woman. You're not a bitch. You're still a man. Grow and use your balls. Remember that. Because you like men, don't mean shit. Men who like men, I don't give a fuck. Remember, niggas, you are still fucking men. You better fight, you better be dead ass, and you better be a fucking man. I'm gonna be real with y'all. You are still men, you better be fucking men. That's it. That's a true fact. That's what she's saying. Society already treats gay people like women. Feminine, weak, scared. Come the fuck on, my brothers. Come the fuck on. That works. I'm back. Scene 2, scene 3, scene chair. All right. So I do agree with one thing that she is saying, and it's not to insult any of the gay men out there, any gay man, anybody out there, right? And this probably didn't go off a topic, but think about it. If you're black and gay, society already sees you as a bitch. Am I wrong or am I right? But if you're a masculine gay nigga, society sees you as a champ. Why is that? Because they see power and they see strength as something not to fuck with. And that's just to be honest with you. If you fuck with a man who has some power and some strength on him, he is going to fuck with you back, especially a gay, strong nigga. I've met some gay niggas who work out, but I've never met a gay nigga who's lifting like 500 pounds, about deadlifting, about to deck you in the face type of energy. I don't want to meet that because that's too aggressive and like, relax, brother. But still, I get what she is saying.
Black women already have this thing where they're hyper-masculinized or hypersexualized.
True. I think black women have that stigma because they, and me as a black man, they had to protect their own asses because they couldn't rely on their own men at some points because obviously you would be killed, shanked, you would die, some type of shit. Black women become masculine because they have to be in the world that does not allow you to be feminine anymore. Oh, just have some femininity. Sometimes you can't afford to be feminine because they see that cute, weak, dangly part and they're like, you're weak, you're soft. I can take advantage of you. I can use you. You're nice. You know what I'm saying? All that shit is weakness to our society. That's why black women have hardened and become strong. That's why black men have become more stern and straightforward and very honest and blunt. Some black men like to beat around the bushes and be dickheads. But I get what she is saying when it comes to the appearance of Yasuke, the strength of a black man, the hate behind it, and all that shit.
And yes, hip-hop culture did not help with that, but then imagine representing them and making all of the lead black women or non-white women gay and masculine. Not saying that masculinity is a bad thing, but when black women are also, they showed a chart of, I guess, the least desirable races with dating, and black women and Asian men are at the bottom of the totem pole. And when you hear other people talk, they mention how black women are scary and too masculine, and then you make them gay and make them masculine gay. You don't even make them feminine. That, by you trying to represent, you're actually setting both the gay and the black community back with that kind of representation. And that's where that's coming from in terms of the black community. I know a lot of people don't know this, and what I'm talking about, some people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I know. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. And then you have the other side of it where
I got what she was talking about when it comes to masculinity, the strength of being a gay man, being black women, that masculine traits. I got where she was coming from with that because I'm a black man.
The white people are like, okay, bro, I was down with diversity until y'all started saying that something was wrong with me for the color of my skin. And now now you're setting people against each other. Because where everyone was vibing before a few years ago, now all of a sudden, So that's kind of the background for it.
I think everybody was hiding it. We can vibe. I do think there's a difference between vibing and just someone hiding their blatant hypocrisy and bullshit behind a mask. Are you really down with me or are you just lying to my face? And I can't tell.
When people are looking at the individual case with this Assassin's Creed game, they're going, what's the big deal? But when you look at what has been happening in media and entertainment, more black people are speaking up about this, by the way, which is a good thing. More gay people are speaking up about this, which is a good thing. More white people are speaking up about it, which apparently is a bad thing because white people are not allowed to say shit. But what is clear is that people across the board do not agree with this. Most people don't agree with this. And you know how you know? Because the sales for these types of things usually tank. They usually don't do well. When something's done authentically, it may work if it has a good story. But when it's not, it usually fails. Usually. That's why Disney is losing so much money now. That's why these people have infiltrated the gaming industry, and those games are not doing well either. People are rejecting it. Black and white and Asian. It's not just straight white dudes, bro. I know it seems shocking, but it's not. So, and then on top of that, you have the women thing, which I'm particularly sensitive about because I'm like, dude, we don't want that kind of representation. A lot of us women don't. It does feel like pandering because, okay, the game looks generic, but I'm more annoyed, again, at the random woman character alongside the samurai, who I'm sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm 80% sure she's going to be saving him left and right at some point.
Yeah, I really hate that because Yasuke was portrayed to be strong and powerful and able to hold his own, but there's going to be tons of moments in the game, I bet, that she's going to come in and try to save him, and it's just going to be like, well, great. He can't even be strong and masculine because he's being saved by a woman every fucking half hour of the game, oh wow, he doesn't have he's not a real samurai if he's not able to sense or be aware of his surroundings. Like, yeah, that's going to be bad if that's true.
Why not let Yasuke stand on his own? Why are you marketing the woman with him, which feels so out of place?
You know what? That does make sense. Why can't this samurai black man stand on his own without the generic woman next to him? Why can't he be a strength and power by himself? And why can't he be standing alone? It'd be cool if he was the actual assassin.
When he already feels out of place, that makes it look worse. Just let him have his story.
Got
At
a
no
point.
point of anything I read about Yasuke, in the few articles that I've seen of him, did it mention some random Japanese woman alongside him. Like, why? I know it's fiction, but if he's an actual character that is already very unknown, let him have his fucking shine. Like,
True.
Why are we putting a woman in there? Because what, a black man's not enough? Anyway, in this specific case, I don't think that telling a story about Yasuke is bad in of itself. If the man actually existed in Japan, then it would be interesting to hear that story. We got that with Shogun as a standalone tale about someone who's essentially a fish out of water, rise to the top, as I've said, and it's from the eyes of someone from a different country. That's completely fine. I would be very interested to see what the next few games that come out of Ubisoft and all these other gaming companies are. Let's check the main characters and see how many of them are straight white men or extra feminine white women or extra feminine black women. If you're against one demographic, then it's no longer diverse. It's exclusionary. True. And that's what people, including black people, let me say that again, including black people, because people seem to, when black people talk, it's like people like, you don't exist, shut up, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You need to go back and remember that you're black.
What does he do? He's supporting Trump?
He says he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes, which, by the way, isn't a plan of Joe Biden's. That's a lie. So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person.
I did not know that.
So he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because.
Do you know I had somebody in my comments or one of my videos or somebody say, you're a black man and this is how you treat or how you say stuff online. And I'm over here like, the fuck are you, what does me being black have to do with anything? It was, the Gina Carano shit. Yes, the Gina Carano fucking tragedy that happened. And I was on Facebook, right? I was on Facebook with all these other cosplayers, and somebody said the whole Gina Carano thing was crazy. I said she didn't really say anything wrong, and everybody was canceling her just because she was like, "Yo, at some point, Germany, right? Not before Nazis became Nazis, all the German people and Jewish people were like this. They were next door neighbors. They were friends. You know what I'm saying? Like a person who became a Nazi was your next door neighbor or your best friend until they were fueled by hate and vitriol and went down that fucking path of hate and vitriol, right? And you got to realize the person was like, oh, but you're black. I was like, that has nothing to do with jack shit. Me being black has nothing to do with nothing. I understand where she was coming from. Just because she said hate, and hate can be weaponized to turn against people, which is true. It's a fact. It can. The whole COVID-19 and COVID situation, you kind of saw it. People were being weaponized against each other. Like I was on the train and some lady was like, hey, some guy or lady was like, hey, can you wear a mask? And he was like, oh, I can't breathe. I got asthma. He was just a bitch. He was a bitch. And I got up and I gave him a mask because I'm like, yo, here, bro. He was like, oh, nah, thanks, bro. I was like, bro, I'm working all fucking day giving out these things. This is fabric. It's going to be fine over your face. It's not just for right now. It's for wherever you go in the city for now. You know what I'm saying? It's a placebo for now. That don't even work, bro. I said, hey, man, just so you don't start arguments on the train again. That's it. And so people don't come at you like that person did again. He didn't understand that. Maybe for now, I should just chill the fuck out, wear the mask, don't get somebody bitched at me. That's it. I was giving out masks and shit. Some nigga was trying to slap the box out my hands. And he was like, oh, you don't get paid enough for that. I say, yes, I do, nigga. $20 an hour and $25. Fuck you talking about. But it was weird because when Gina Carano came out and said, hate can be weaponized and used against you to hate other people, it's a true fact. It's a true fact. And for other people to come out of nowhere and say, oh, but you're black, I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? I didn't say you Hispanic. I didn't say you this, nigga. I didn't. Some people just don't understand that. They're outright calling you out for being this, and this, or not standing with somebody. Shit's weird, bro. I'm just saying.
He's worried about his own personal pocketbook.
But they're calling this out too. I know these journalists love to be trigger happy and say it's just straight white men who have an issue with certain things being done inauthentically, but there are people like me, for example, who don't fit that demographic speaking up on this too. I'm not the only one, but our voices don't matter because they ignored them for their confirmation bias. That's what's ticking people off. I'd like to see also the animation about Yasuke because it's interesting and it's not the norm. I'd love to see things through his eyes as somebody who is seemingly out of his depth in a new territory. What I don't want to watch is him being lectured by some random woman, because that's this thing that's been done to death too. It's annoying, but it's always fun to watch those type of things. That's what I loved about Shogun, even though I didn't like the main character at first because I don't know what was going on with his eyes. First of all, he is so ugly. Okay, he's not ugly, he looks like a freaking zombified cashew. And then his eye contacts, I don't know what was going on with those cracking eyes and why they chose that, but that was disgusting. And he was so clunky and clumsy looking. I'm like, who is this freaking golden retriever turned human overnight? He did grow on me though. He did, and I like Mariko. That's I'm not gonna spoil anything. But anyway, as long as it feels authentic. At the end of the day, I hope people are making games because they want to make those games. You want to tell a story about Yasuke, tell a story about Yasuke. Not because they're being forced to alter the main characters to please some consultant firm or investors. At that point, games no longer become an escape and they no longer feel real. They just feel manufactured and everyone can see through that and nobody likes that. So that's my whole take on the subject. Look, we have a lot to do when it comes to recorrecting. I think that we've overshot our intended target. We've reached there. It's like, bro, you finally did it. You made me climax. Oh my God. And then he just keeps going and you're like, stop, or I'm gonna fucking kick your teeth in by accident. Like, and then they're not stopping. And then they start biting on top of it. Now you have to stab them on the top of their fucking head. I'm sorry. I don't know why I went there, but that's what it's giving.
Whoa. It's like, I climaxed. Get off me. Get off me. I was like, wow. She got violent with it. Wow.
Anyway, there you go. That's my 2 cents on it, or my $5, whichever way you want to interpret that. I know I'm going to get people hating me and being like, oh my God, look at what you said. What did I say? I did say it. What? I said it. Because I'm already expecting people to come out and be like, that's not a problem. Okay, that's my opinion. But I'm also letting you guys know the drama that's behind it and why. Because a lot of people don't even know what Sweet Baby Inc. is. They don't know what DEI is. I have to know these things because it's in the realm of what I do. So anyway, I hope this sheds some light. And if you want to play the game, feel free to play the game. If you generally enjoy it when you play it, enjoy it. I don't think it's that big of a deal in this case because I do want to see Yasuke's story. I just have a feeling they'd butcher it. And I feel like, just my instinct, you'd probably be better off watching the animation on it or another piece of media specifically about Yasuke that focuses specifically on him and his story.
Shout outs to Alteori. She's a good content creator. Go check her out. Check out her channel. I'm subscribed to her. I didn't like this video because I was going to actually save it for this. A lot of other people might agree with her. And also, the game's price is fucking expensive for no goddamn reason. Like, listen, I like video games, but if y'all raising the price on a video game, you're bugging. You are, the bugs, man. The bugs.
Shit.
Getting on drum.
You
little niggas gonna stop acting like my shit ain't the grill.
Where's the last
Some of
one?
you niggas get your front teeth for grills. And I ain't talking about the contract. I
ain't loving these fake hoes. Room smelling like 8 switches. Room service like 2K. NBA, I'm ballin', nigga. All them niggas falling like all them niggas. Talking shit, I saw them niggas. Now they daughter want a picture. Rough, ain't it? Fuck famous.
Yeah,
niggas too real, got the most haters. Wrote a story, so Stephen Curry. How it feel to be golden.